At Canadian Direct Insurance, we've all had a first car, and a second car, and then something that more closely resembles a bus. We've carpooled, car tripped, and carpool tripped. We've even had car mishaps. That's why we give you the kind of service we'd expect for ourselves. Canadian Direct Insurance.
Silly Willy Billy is a million miles away. When I had a little mind that I needed him to stay, but I don't now, cause I'm mom and dad, I'm a grown-up boy. Saving all my money, gonna buy myself a new toy. Took a jet to the bottom of the visionary mind, where I'm making up the words to a song that doesn't rhyme. If you can't see me, then you better leave it no. Wait, scratch that, cause I'm never gonna be at home. Home, such a funny little thought. Everybody thinks now that I oughta rock. Nah, true, if you know what's best for you. Shut my eyes down now, can I get a deep blue? Sipping 7 up like a full-grown man. Even got a beard now, got it looking so grand. On account up to the land in the middle of my palm, and I can't admit I don't belong. Gotta jump now, it's almost 75 degrees. If you're looking at the wing, I bet you feel the breeze. Got enough sun now to make the skin wanna dive. Outside one time, let's fly, high rise. Got an itty bitty care on the itty bitty earth. If you don't know what to wear, then you don't know what it's worth. If you don't know what it's worth, then you don't know what you're missing. Everybody in the right mind gonna wish in. Oh. Okay, here we go. Ha!
Don't waste your time away in life. It's worth the wait. Never too late.
Hello and welcome to Thunderbird Stadium for the CDI Premiership Semifinal Game of the Week. I'm Mike James, joined with Brendan Monroe.
Hi everyone, welcome to playoff rugby.
Your eyes are not deceiving you. We're playing on an artificial turf today at the T-Bird Stadium. Burnaby Lake Rugby Club playing the UBC Thunderbirds in the semifinal of the CDI Premier League competition. The other semifinal today is University of Victoria playing the Capilano Rugby Club on Vancouver Island. We've just had the Burnaby Lake Rugby Club come to the field. Their roster today will be captain and number 1, Anthony Luca, Andrew Lackner, Ryan Ackerman make up the front row, Ryan McAllister and Paul McFeely in the second row. Back row will be Connor McCann, Craig McLaughlin and Andy Drummond. Scrum half will be Cody Roxon, linking to James Reekie, Brian Murphy and Alex Kelly are the wings, Jackie Goody and Joe Delisau in the centers, and Cole McQueen at fullback. For the Thunderbirds, they've just taken the field here. Bit of a rambunctious crowd today, which is fantastic. Beautiful day of rugby. The lineup for the Thunderbirds will be Paul Land, Alex Mascott, Neil Courtney. The second rows of Connor Hamilton and Sam Clark. Back rows will be Thomas Roche, Charles Thorpe, Connor Whale, Jordan Sandover-Best, linking to Brian Tyre today at number 10. Eric Hunter James and Brock Staller on the wings. Centers will be James Thompson, Nate Reese, and at fullback, Quinton Wilms. Brendan, what do you think?
Well, we looked at these two teams play back in January. It was a pretty convincing win for the University of British Columbia, and these teams also met before the Christmas break, and it was also a UBC win, but really that means nothing now. Burnaby Lake found that out last year. The regular season doesn't matter. It's all about what you do here in the playoffs.
And Brian Tyre with the dropout to start the game, the semifinal game of the week. Into the hands of Ryan McAllister, is looking to pass the ball to Joe Delisau. Trying to dance his way through the defense. UBC's present at the tackle point. Cody Roxon finding James Reekie. He's going to put it off his left foot. High spiral kick remaining in touch. Capably handled by Sam Clark. A pass towards the inside there into the hands of Brian Tyre. Thunderbirds on the attack trying to push the outside edge. Burnaby Lake there to stop him. Field conditions obviously will be excellent today. As passage goes on, ball's gone lost to ground into the hands of Goody. Turnover for Burnaby Lake. Burnaby Lake on the attack. Roxon to Delisau puts the ball to his foot, kicking behind the defensive line. Brock Staller with recovery. Looking to put it down the field, and it's gone directly into touch. We're going to see our first line out of the day. We did see these two teams play early in the year, as Brendan said, in January. Both teams have come a long way since. Burnaby Lake kind of qualifying by the hair of their chinny chin after being the toast of the competition the last couple of years. This will be, I think, their fourth or fifth semifinal in a year, and they were just lucky to qualify here in the last week's game.
Yeah, they needed the bonus point inside the last 10 minutes of their final game to jump ahead of James Bay for that fourth and final playoff spot.
Burnaby Lake with the line out, stolen by UBC. UBC have got a great athletic second row of Clark and Hamilton. We're able to win that first line out. Sandover Best, he's going to put a nice little box kick up. Nice, highly contested, but unfortunately directly into the touch there. I believe no flags have come up, but it's been promptly decided. Burnaby Lake trying to put it into play quickly, but the referee's going to come back for the original line out.
And Director of Rugby at UBC, Dave Brown, coming up to us before the game saying their second rowers, Clark and Hamilton, a little bit superstitious at the number assignment. So they wanted to keep their 4 and 5 numbers respectively. So they're swapping out. Mike, not a lot of superstition necessarily in the rugby game, but those who have it certainly carry it.
For those in the second row, you don't get a lot of choice in the second row. It's 4 or 5. So, there's a bit of animosity in there. Burnaby Lake was able to win the line out, and they're having a driving maul. Making a bit of progress, some extracurricular play there in front of the referee. Play continues. Roxon's going to extract that ball into the hands of Riki. Playing with the centers. Goody He's able to break through the official break line. Oh, sorry, I'm stumbling, tumbling, and mumbling here verbally. Goody trying to break through the gain line, but he was called forward. So they're going to come back to the original advantage for the infraction after the line out.
I talked about superstitions just a moment ago. It's a bit of a different environment here for UBC. They are used to playing at the Wolfson / Gerald McGavin Rugby Pavilion just a few hundred meters away, and that is currently under renovation. So we're here on the artificial track, on the artificial turf here at Thunderbird Stadium. And that certainly creates a little bit of a different game. For one, it's flat. We didn't see that 100% accurately at Wolfson due to that slight downhill slope, which they're correcting. But it should mean fast, expansive rugby today as we see our first opportunity for points to go onto the board, courtesy of Burnaby Lake's James Riki.
The crowd is remaining silent. And the kick is up. From our angle, it's nice and straight, but it is short. Into the hands of Quinton Wilms, who's moving the ball down the floor. Ooh, wide side. Trying to get the ball to Hunter James. Ball's been knocked back and forth, but Burnaby Lake's been able to recover it. Kept the ball in play, but we have the initial knock on, so we're going to see our first scrum today. Just a couple side notes here. I'm actually, this announcer is a big fan of rugby being played on turf. I know with the BC Bears, we had a game in the middle of winter against Russia at Langford, and we're able to play a high-quality game in the middle of winter. Burnaby Lake will not be a total stranger because they train at their club practices on turf, so it'll be, I don't think they've played too many competitive games in that note, but it'll be interesting to see because the conditions are excellent today. First scrum's been not clean. Referees there to establish control. Both front rows and the packs are going to just take some time to feel each other out here. We'll have a younger pack against the students of UBC against some gnarly old vets here for Burnaby Lake. So this may be a repetitive process to start.
I'm just looking at that matchup at 9 between Roxon and Jordan Sandover Best, both great athletes, but coming from different morphologies for sure, with Roxon having about a 4-inch and a 60-pound advantage over Jordan Sandover Best there at 9s.
Roxon grew up in the valley, so he might have drank a bit more milk. But Sandover Best is a wonderful up-and-coming, very talented footballer for UBC. Many matchups today are interesting in that regard, and certainly Roxon and Sandover Best have got the platform here today to show their skills. We're going to have to reset the scrum. Burnaby Lake introduction. Good pressure there in the front row. Control of the back. Roxon releasing the ball to Riki. Trying to play deep to Brian Murphy, a good, exciting player from Burnaby Lake, but he's caught by the UBC defense. Highly contested breakdown, and UBC's been able to force the penalty. Ball carrier not able to release. Right there, the referee to call it. Penalty here for UBC. Looks like they're going to opt for touch. Bit of a torpedo kick. It's gone into touch here. We're going to have a UBC line out just inside of their own half, right in front of us here in the viewing booth. Hopefully those that are watching the games at home are enjoying our webcasts that we've been able to provide consistently this year. Alex Mascot with the throw. At the back of the lineup, cleanly taken by UBC, and the ball, and they're off to the races. Stotler release into hands of Nate Reese. That ball's not gone to hand. It's gone to ground. They're on the scramble. Reese just trying to relieve pressure by putting it down the center of the field. Picked up by Alex Kelly, who's got some wheels. He's able to get through Reese, sandwich his way through two UBC defenders. Burnaby Lake there in support. Been able to retain possession. Ackerman to Lackner. It's been returned on defense. Ball still alive in the hands of Goody Goody. Fighting his way forward. Burnaby Lake there in support. Roxon to Riki. He's going to play tight to the line, but with McAllister, who's able to get across the gain line. Roxon to release in the sense. Riki to Murphy on the outside edge, who's been able to evade the last defender. Stumbling into the fullback. Ball presented. Burnaby Lake on the attack. Ball's gone to ground and not clean. Into the hands of McAllister again. UBC there to make a point of fixation. Keeping in the forwards. UBC organized on defense. You have a series of pick and goes to try and get some go forward. Lackner met by the defense. Roxon's able to release again into the hands of Riki. He's going to keep it himself. Get across the gain line. UBC there, but ball has been produced. It's a scrum cap flying across in the field. Luca soundly returned on defense. Good aggressive tackle. I believe that was Sam Clark there, who unfortunately went over the top on it. Wasn't Sam Clark at all. My apologies. Nate Reese, but he will be penalized for killing the ball.
And as we have one player seeking some minor medical treatment in the background, we will turn to our sponsors and say a big thank you to Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. Thank you to all of our partners for helping us deliver streaming rugby to you every weekend.
It's going to be a line out here for Andrew Lackner and the Burnaby Lake Rugby Club. About 30 meters out from the UBC try line. Pause and play. It looks like there's some contact lenses or something being done here for a UBC player. Actually, it looks like an injury to the hand. Our first replacement of the day, we're going to have Sam Jeffries come into the lineup here for, I believe it's Connor Hamilton, who's either dislocated a finger or jammed a thumb or something. So it looks like it may be temporary, but could be more serious than that. Play will resume. Burnaby Lake deep in the lines of attack here. It's a short man option. Bit of miscommunication in the lineouts. It's a free-for-all, but Cody Roxon's there to clean it up as the ball's gone over the end. Into the hands of the forward. That's Andy Drummond going forward. Series of pick and goes. Burnaby Lake trying to get around the fringes of the breakdown. Roxon there to release into the hands of Riki, who's going to put the ball to his foot right behind the defensive line. The ball stays in touch. There's sand over best. Soundly tackled by Alex Kelly. UBC forced to kick the ball and clear the lines, and they have done so, getting the ball to about the 40-meter mark away from their own try line. Good scramble and play there, though. Riki opting to put the ball off his foot, move the ball behind the very well-organized first line of defense from UBC. Put UBC in the scramble, and UBC was able to clear the lines. Another Burnaby Lake line out. The last couple have not been too clean. This will be a crucial factor of play for them against this very competent UBC forward pack. McLaughlin up in the air. Good, clean, two-handed take. Burnaby Lake there organized, trying to get it driving. Good sound defense from UBC. They've really been able to turn the corner and isolate them against the touchline. Ball's in the hands of Drummond. Lots of UBC players there. The forwards pack just trying to break out. Soundly tackled. Ball's been lost in contact. UBC on the counterattack. It's in the hands of Connor Whale there, reacting on the turnover. expect to see this quite often today. UBC very athletic in the turnarounds. Into the hands of the center. Thompson releasing to Wilms. I believe that's Hunter James. Loose on the wing. He's thrown it back inside. Recovered again by UBC. Ball is kept alive. Thompson to Reese. Reese bouncing through defenders. Unfortunately, there looks like a bit of an obstruction there right in front of the referee. The referee there today very well placed to date to catch that. We're going to have a scrum here for Burnaby Lake.
Something I've noticed from UBC is they love to try that grubber kick once they get it to the centers. We haven't seen it yet, but we've seen it from them very consistently all year. So watch out for that. Watch for that kick once they get it to the outside center to play it on for the winger.
Well, it's good rugby if you can recover possession, because the defenders are up on their face. If they can put that ball to the ground and turn it into 50-50 ball with the territory win, it's good common sense. Roxon here with the introduction. Looks like there's a penalty that's been awarded against the Thunderbirds. Looks like they're collapsing there a bit far on the far side of the field for us to see, but we have James Reiki here who's going to kick the ball to touch. And he finds it about 10 meters or 8 meters beyond the halfway line. Burnaby Lake line out. They will retain possession after the penalty. Always crucial to win your own ball on your lineouts. 5-man line out. Burnaby Lake up in the air. It's a bit of a bobble fest, but Roxon's there to clean it up. Storming down in the middle of the field is Ryan McAllister. Quick release. Roxon again to Riki. Delasau in open space. Always dangerous. Able to fend off Nate Reese. Releasing Cole McQueen. Down the sideline, the fullback. Looking to pass inside. It's not going to hand. UBC recovered. And Quinton Whelms is off to the races. Ball's been knocked forward out of his hands. Into the hands of Roxon. Been tackled by the Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds are pouring over the top of that breakdown. Referee's arm is up. Scrambling for possession. Burnaby Lake's been able to maintain it there with Ryan Ackerman. Hands reaching across the breakdown. Roxon to Riki. Long pass across the field again into the hands of Joe Delasau, who's been tackled after the play by Tyre. Into the hands of Brian Murphy. He's been tackled again. Referee's arms up again. Play will continue. Advantage here is going to be signaled. Penalty here signaled to Burnaby Lake.
The best chance we've seen so far this morning or this afternoon for a try, and much like my call, not quite as linked as it would like to be.
It's a beautiful day out there, Brendan, but we're standing in the shade and it's freezing, so I think our lips are cold. We're stumbling. Interesting passage of play there. Joe Delasau able to evade his way through Nate Reese there on the first line. He's so dangerous, ball in hand, but ball lost, not gone to hand, into the hands of UBC there on the counterattack. Again, a couple turnovers of play and some exciting rugby here in our CDI semifinal game of the week. Looks like we got somebody with a tight hammy there getting stretched out. Could be Brian Murphy, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not Brian Murphy. Somebody else from Burnaby Lake is down, but Burnaby Lake will be attempting the 3 points, trying to get on the board. Always important to score in these playoff games.
Riki's kick from the other side of the field at about this distance we saw 10 minutes ago fell just short of the posts, and we'll try to strike this one a little bit cleaner.
Well, he's going to have to put his leg in it. He's going to have to throw in the hips. It's a left-footed kicker, well within his range. The kick is up. But unfortunately, it looks like it's faded just left. Had the distance, but not the strike, as opposed to the first strike, which had the strike and not the distance. UBC on the dropout here, in the sure hands of Brian Tyre. Kick down far, over the head of Delasau, and it's going to roll into touch. A great dropout there from UBC. Significant 70-meter gain there on that passage of play, being able to kick that knuckleball over the head of Joe Delasau.
There's lots of lines out there on the field. Not all of them clear, but we're playing with the yellow lines here today, and the in-goal area marked by some red paint as well. So hopefully you'll be able to see that clearly on your screen, but no one has threatened those yellow lines just quite yet.
Good, clean two-handed take by Craig McLaughlin. Coming in the line out in a short man option there. Ryan McAllister carrying the ball in the midfield. Burnaby Lake able to maintain possession. Very close to their own try line. Riki trying to find touch, has not found it. Good foot skills by Brock Stoller to keep that ball in play into the hands of Quinton Wilms, who's been very effective on the counterattack today. Into two defenders, been able to present the ball back. Sandover Best to into Thompson, who's able to break his way, franchising through the first line of defense. He's able to evade the second line of defense. UBC's off to the races into the hand of Neil Courtney, the big ball carrying tight head prop. Ball is there, Sandover Best. UBC knocking at the door. Tyre able to evade the first defender. Held up here. Not in clean possession. It looks like the ball's been held up. Advantage given here to UBC. Very frenetic play. UBC knocking on the door, and Burnaby Lake frantically trying to hold them out. Penalty awarded here just to the right of the post, 5 meters out.
Very good, positive stuff from UBC, all set up from that deep kick that we saw the line out that put them right around that 22. And they were able to carry that pressure forward and will have an opportunity to take some points here.
Yeah, UBC's going for the penalty. They could have opted to keep the ball in play off a restart there or gone for the scrum, but they've gone for the safe option and putting the first points on the game today. First points on the board for the game today. It's a great time of year to see some rugby. The ball is dry, the fields are firm, it's a beautiful day. We're seeing some end-to-end action here today. But certainly that kick from Brian Tyre on the 22-meter dropout was a 70-meter territory reversal and put immediate pressure on Burnaby Lake. Brock Stoller will be attempting the kick today. Kick is up, but it's gone just left as well. We've had 3 shots at goal, and both teams are egg. Burnaby Lake's going to have the dropout here as the ball comes back into play. Long angle dropout, left foot, just trying to cut the angle, trying to do the same thing. Ball was found into touch and put back into play by UBC. That's Nate Reese with the ball in hand. He kind of goes off the side of his boot. He's kicked that ball, unfortunately, directly into touch. Had the length, but just not good contact on the foot, so that's gone straight to touch. It's going to be a Burnaby Lake line out about 15 meters in, over into the UBC half. It's a very good line outs by both teams. Both teams having very athletic jumpers today. Craig McLaughlin, a former volleyball player, very good athletic rugby player, up against the Twin Towers here of Hamilton and Clark. Well, and Jeffries is on now for UBC. 2 very competent lineouts. McLaughlin able to come down with that ball into the hands of Andy Drummond, who's going to just spin off and target Brian Tyre as the ball carrier. Tyre there mans up on the tackle and does a great job bringing down the rampaging number 8. Rocks into Riki, switch move back inside. I believe that's Alex Kelly. Burnaby Lake able to maintain possession, but there's a bobble at the back of that breakdown. Burnaby Lake able to maintain possession, not cleanly, but they're able to restart. It's Ryan Ackerman in at the back of that. Soundly tackled by the mascot and Courtney from UBC. Front rows tackling on front rows. Roxon to Riki. Into McAllister, who's a hard runner, gets right over the gain line. UBC there trying to slow down. Roxon trying to force the issue around the edges. Ball's gone to ground. It's been kicked forward by UBC. Delasau is scrambling back. This is when he's most dangerous, provided he can pick up the ball. He's been taken off out of the play by Nate Reese there. Referee says play on. UBC knocking on the door here, but Burnaby Lake, having possession. McQueen to Delasau, who's always dangerous, one-on-one, able to beat 2 defenders, trying to break through 3 and 4, is eventually brought down. UBC scrambling to get their hands on the ball at that breakdown, coming down the blind side and in the hands of Riki. Flat pass to Jecky. Ball's gone into play. Couple knock-ons, could have been a foot and touch. But we're going to play the knock-on here. It's going to be a knock-on Burnaby Lake scrum for UBC.
Still pretty scrambly as we've crossed the 20-minute mark of the first half. Neither team able to get on the board. We've seen 3 missed kicks so far, pretty uncharacteristic from both of these teams' kickers. And we see one of the UBC players running off here with a pretty bloody front bridge of his nose.
That looked like a bathroom tap was leaking.
Yes, it did. It's a tough game, especially the intensity ramped up in the playoffs. And we've seen a lot of slow ball. We've seen a lot of heavy contact in those breakdowns, a lot of aggression, and we're going to see another scrum with some of that physicality on display right in front of you.
Scrum here for UBC. pressure being applied by Burnaby Lake. They've been able to turn that over, actually. Scramble at the end, into the hands of Andy Drummond, who's just been able to step right over the breakdown. Burnaby Lake gaining possession on that scrum. Roxon to Riki. And it get it goody, soundly tackled again by Thompson, and I believe is the number 5 there. UBC is doing very, very well on their individual tackles today. They got some big, strong, heavy hitters. Sandover Best with a kick over the top. It's a bit of a Keystone Cops out there. Balls running all over the place. Somebody cue the Benny Hill.
Well, they're definitely playing 15s rugby. We've seen some examples of what looked closer to 7s rugby in some of these recent weeks with the big score lines. And in this one, it's a very slow, on the ground, slow ball, physical kind of game. And that might favor Burnaby Lake just a little bit, as UBC prefers to play a quicker, more running-oriented game.
Well, both teams have come to play today. We've seen that. Both teams trying to do the best they can with the ball they got. Into the hands of McLaughlin again. Good. Almost taken by Jeffries at UBC. UBC is contesting very well in the lineouts. Burnaby Lake lucky to win that ball. Roxon, Tariki, Delasau playing behind the back. Alex Kelly. Can he break the line? Yes, he can. He's able to evade through 2 defenders, and then he's safe at second at the feet of the fullback. Roxon continues in the hands of Riki. They got space outside. Inside option to Cole McQueen. Able to dance his way through a couple defenders. Ball continuing down the blind side. Roxon to Riki's across the gain line. Oh, bullet pass, unfortunately unable to be captured by Brian Murphy on that far wing. But they were through and across the gain line. Interesting passage of play again.
This game is just missing one more pass. We've seen that probably 3 times now, where it gets out to the winger and it's off a shoulder, it's off an arm. And all of those sequences would have resulted in tries if we could just get that last pass over to the winger. Hasn't happened yet. The
final step of execution is missing. But again, we're seeing really good spirit here in both teams, trying to throw the ball around and play positive rugby. Both teams are here to play. It being a semifinal, no one's playing with fear. That's Jeffries taking it at the front of the line out. Long pass to Tyre, almost timed by the first flanker there from Burnaby Lake. Tyre just hustling his way through the defense. Sand over there. Inside option. Breaks through that first gap defender. Oh my goodness, they're off to the races. That could have looked forward, but that's fine. Paul on, continuing on. Able to feed back inside to Sandover Best. Breaking through the lines of defense. First try for UBC.
Covering about 70 meters all in one sequence. Jordan Sandover Best finishing the play for UBC. That one had the requisite last pass.
Certainly, good completion of task there. Most important step in that line break, I believe, was the inside option. The first defender, Burnaby Lake, letting that guy get through, because once they were through, they were gone. Good support, great pass, good linkage with Paul on there. The loose head prop, who's off to the races. Good open play. Good signature rugby from UBC.
It was desperation time from Burnaby Lake as they tried those ankle taps and just narrowly missed a couple of them, and that allowed the UBC runners to create that space. Finished off by scrum half Jordan Sandover Best. 5-0 now for UBC with a conversion to come.
Getting close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, as they say. First points of the game here on the try scored by Jordan Sandover Best. UBC 5, Burnaby Lake 0. The kick is up, and it's through this time. Our first successful kick of the afternoon. That brings the score up to 7 for UBC, Burnaby Lake 0. Be interesting to see how Burnaby Lake reacts to the being scored on. They need to get the ball back. UBC, accepting the dropout here, needs to consolidate possession and get right back on task. So far, so good for the game being played on the turf, though. Good, fast feet by everybody here. The bounce of the ball is a little more consistent. Shows a bit glossy on our TV, but I believe it's an excellent playing surface for the players out there today.
Yeah, we just saw that one slip, as you said, player sliding into second a couple of minutes ago, but apart from that, it looks like it's been a pretty good surface to play on.
Delasau with a dropout. In front of his forwards, McLaughlin there to chase. Well taken by Sam Clark under pressure. He's able to keep the ball in play. That is Brock Stoller on his wing there. He's able to feed back and forth into Brian Tyre, who's been tackled. Sandover Best is looking to do a little kick over the top again. Not too many people home. Cole McQueen there to capture. Working his way towards the center field. Tries to evade the first defender. He is tackled by the second. Roxon there trying to extract it, but he's been held in by a Thunderbird player. Into the hands of Andy Drummond, trying to spin his way through, but he is met by Clark and Courtney. Lackner dump tackled here by UBC. UBC very committed to the individual tackle today. Roxon to Riki. Long pass across to Goody Goody. To De La Salle, throwing the ball long and wide here. De La Salle trying to dance his way around Nate Reese. Cover tackle there by Charles Thorpe. Far behind their gain line, but Burnaby Lake is maintaining possession under pressure. Roxon to Riki. All his forwards are in front of him. Not much option, but to come work his way back to the original ruck. There's a whole gaggle of forwards there in the midfield for Burnaby Lake. Roxon with a long pass to McQueen, who's going to kick it to touch just outside the 22. Not an enormous relief of pressure there, and a good opportunity for possession for UBC. Both packs have been very competitive in the line-out today. All very good athletic jumpers. Both teams contesting against each other. Not the greatest of throws, though. It has been able to be collected by Burnaby Lake. Referee says play on, wasn't taken cleanly. Roxon again is just going to look to find Riki. Good pressure here from UBC, but Riki with his left foot is able to find touch again. Moving the ball about 35 meters to the 35-meter mark, about 10 meters up from where we just saw the last line-out. Throw here for UBC again.
Burnaby Lake certainly under pressure for the last 7 or 8 minutes. Slowly trying to get out of their own end.
That was Thomas Roche up in the air to take that. UBC trying to drive it. Burnaby Lake trying to defend it. Don't see what's going on. Ball's not really moving. There's not much forward progress there, but Sandover Best is there to put the ball back in play. Tyra steps inside the first defender, able to needle it back through to Thompson, who's going to work his way through both second defenders there, Murphy and McQueen, to score.
As we saw on the first line break that resulted in a try for UBC, it was the throw from Tyre, finding that man at full speed and once again making that connection. And Burnaby Lake suffering from that sustained pressure that was held on to them for 7 or 8 minutes, just missing in that tackle. And UBC have extended their lead now 12-0 here in the first half.
Yeah, nifty play from Tyra there, able to dance his way around that first defender, inside feed into Thompson, who's able just to do the rest. Good passage of play from UBC. Very athletic side, very fit. Rugby knowledgeable side here. Burnaby Lake's going to have their hands full today to try and contain the students. Thunderbirds have been the cream of the competition, the choice of the competition this year.
With that said, though, they have struggled quite a bit in the last few weeks to close out the season, whereas Burnaby Lake seemed like a team on the rise, getting points in their last 3 matches. So it was certainly a momentum storyline going into today's game, and so far all the momentum in this one has been with UBC.
For sure. Burnaby Lake, to their credit, have been the cardiac kids. They've been able to win or tie games in the last couple of minutes in the last month or so. Having had a good run the last couple of years to be the top team in the competition, but UBC has really deserved their spot this year. Full allocates to the players and their staff. De La Salle with a dropout. It's going to land just outside the 22. Oof. Taken by UBC, tackled by Burnaby Lake. Sandover Best there is out. He's going to put another box kick up. That is up. And he's able to find touch. Waiting for the touch out here, but it looks like it was outside the 22 when the ball was brought back inside the 22. That's why we couldn't see the touch yards following the kick. I believe that's Mike Jones on the call, has decided that the ball was brought into the 22. Referees and touch yards are going to confirm that. It'll be a line out for Burnaby Lake regardless.
Bit of an unforced error there from UBC.
Yeah. Could
cost them.
Yeah, those box kicks, it's a precision kick. It's got to be high and far enough, but off the hands of McLaughlin. McAllister there in the cleanup. Bodies flying around in there. Burnaby Lake has possession. Roxon's going to play through the fours to Riki. De La Salle able to get through a half gap. He funds off Tyra and Reese. Able to break through there. Roxon's going to release it in the flow with Riki. Outside to Cole McQueen, who gets it in the hands of Brian Murphy. And Burnaby Lake gets over in the corner. Good reaction. Good reaction to play by Burnaby Lake. Great line break from Joel Delasau. Always the catalyst of change and dynamicism for Burnaby Lake there. Able to string together a couple phases of rugby and score in the corner with Brian Murphy.
There was that last pass to the winger that we were missing, and right there, well executed by Burnaby Lake, and they had their first try of the game, one they desperately needed. They needed to get their account open, and they've done so on an unforced error on that box kick, and as I said, it could cost UBC, and it certainly does as a result.
Great passage of play there to get the ball to the wing, like you said, Brendan. But both teams are here to play today, which is so exciting in the playoffs and the semifinals here of the CDI Premier League. It's been a long season, but now we're getting down to the good stuff. Weekend of semifinals, UVic playing Capellanos on the island, Burnaby Lake playing UBC. The university sides, both UBC and UVic being number 1 and 2 in the table. The mainline clubs, Burnaby and Capellanos, traveling. If we can multitask enough, we could hit Twitter and see, maybe get a score update, see what's going on in that UVic Capilano game.
Conversion online but short. No good.
Burnaby's not been effective kicking for points. UBC with the dropout here. The breeze is picked up. Bit of a slight breeze. That ball's going to travel high. Tyler Robbie's going to kick it into the forwards here. Goody, trying to chase it down. Taken by UBC in the air, but Ryan McCallster able to mug the guy before he hits the ground. Into the hands of Roxon. Bobbled forward by McFeely. Fortunately, they were able to kind of ice the puck there, because if you had UBC been able to pick that up, it would have been 2 passes and another try in the corner. Interesting kick there, though. The UBC player was able to catch it in the air, but before he hit the ground, it was stripped from him and recovered by Burnaby Lake.
Just shows the perfect kind of depth on that kick, allowing the runners to get onto it and causing all kinds of chaos for the ball receiver. That's the exact kind of restart that you want.
But hands off to the pickpocket who took the ball in his watch before he hit the ground. We have a scrum here for Burnaby Lake. Introduction for Burnaby. Been given the go-ahead to introduce. Into the hands of Drummond. He's going to step inside the first defender. He's cover tackled by Jeffries. Burnaby Lake trying to keep it in the forwards, trying to get some go forward. McCallister in the pick and go. UBC reacting well on defense. Long kick back to Reek. He's going to try and pump this ball down the field. Finds the hands of Quinton Whelms there on the counterattack. He's going to put it straight up in the air for him to go get it himself. Good high kick. Knocked forward by Reekie, then knocked forward by Whelms. It's going to be a penalty here for the not retreating players, Burnaby Lake. Good passage of play. That was a good high kick from Whelms. He was not able to get completely under it himself, but that really turned that possession to a 50-50 ball, and it certainly did work in the favor of UBC there. Kick to touch again. Inside the 22 of Burnaby. About 10, 12 meters out from the Burnaby Lake line. It's going to be a line out here for UBC.
And we're talking about multitasking. I'm on Twitter. There's no update to report at this time. If somebody is over at UVic, we would love to get an update from you. I know that some of you are probably watching this game on your phone while you're at the Wallace Field over at UVic. So if anybody can help us out with the score while we're on the air, just send it to Twitter or text
send it to
email.
at MJ Mortgages or at Brendan Monroe. We'd love to know the score. UVic Capellanos.
What a great final it's going to be, no matter who's in it. We got 4 really great clubs.
Great line-out taken by UBC at the back, and the drive is on. Very well organized by the Thunderbirds, but they have been brought to ground. The referee's got his arm up. There is an advantage. Penalized. Contesting that maul. Good effective line-out, though, thrown to the back where Burnaby Lake are not too organized to be able to get up in the air. We're going to come back to the point of infraction. Penalty here against Burnaby Lake for UBC. They can go for posts. What are they going to do? Looks like they're going to kick to touch and go for the line out. Into the hands of Brian Tyre. It's going to be a line out here for UBC. About 7 meters out. The score is 14-5 for UBC over Burnaby Lake in the first half of play of this CDI semifinal game of the week. Bit scrambly there in the lineup for such an important one. Bit, unfortunately, miscommunication there in the execution of that lineup for UBC. Burnaby Lake didn't know where it was going, but apparently UBC didn't know either. We're going to have a scrum here for, what's the call here? Referee, looks like we're having a scrum for Burnaby. They'll be looking to clear the lines and get out of their own end.
Yeah, it almost looked like the jumpers got their play calls confused and both going up for the same play, but not at full height, like a half jump from both of them.
Well, I'm sure the coaches are pulling their hair out going, these lineouts aren't supposed to be a mystery. Scrum here for Burnaby Lake. Drummond releasing Roxon. They're playing in their own end. Delasau able to break through one tackle. Sam Jeffries there in the covered tackle. Geez, the refurb on this headphone. Roxon again in the hands of Anthony Luca. Not normally your first receiver. Good tackle there from UBC. Burnaby Lake playing, but so close to their own end. Ball's been stumbled out. There's been a hands in that ruck. I think Neil Courtney, unfortunately, has been penalized. There's so many positive things in a rugby game. That penalty, unfortunately, not being one of them. It's going to be an opportunity here for Burnaby Lake to find touch and relieve a bit of pressure. They've been able to move the ball to about the 40-meter line, their own 40-meter line, with their line out in play. Very impressed with the athletes that UBC have in the pack. They got a great second row, good athletic second row. Both props, Courtney and On, have shown passages of brilliance in open play. Good hard-carrying, ball-carrying players here. Going to be a five-man line out for Burnaby Lake. Going to throw to the back to Craig McLaughlin. It's over the top in the hands of Ackerman. Play continues. Reekie to McAllister. It's just going to try and hammer it through the gain line, but soundly met into the hands of Luca, who's deep behind the gain line. Been returned by UBC. UBC committed to the individual tackle. Very well done. I think that's Paul McFeely on the ball carrier. He's able to get across the gain line. Drummond met by Thorpe. Roxon releasing Reekie again. Steps inside the first defender. He's able to shake through. Back inside to Roxon. He's been soundly tackled. Again, UBC committed to the tackle. Very athletic players committed to the tackle. That's McFeely again on the ball carry. Into the hands of Ackerman's slowly getting himself forward. Soundly met by Paul On. He's been turned back, but the ball is possession Burnaby Lake. Reekie into the hands of Alex Kelly. Class cover brings him down. Ball spilling out the back. Roxon to Lackner. UBC sprinting there to tackle him numerously. Roxon to Ackerman. Defense coming up and shutting him down. Roxon again to Reekie. Lots of numbers out there with space to come. Nate Reese almost with the intercept. Drummond trying to release to McCann, who's got it to Murphy. Play continues. Drummond is there. Two Thunderbirds there to tackle under pressure. Interesting passage of play. Burnaby Lake had the space and a lot of numbers out there. Nate Reese almost took that and ran the opposite direction for a try, but by the hair of his chinny chin chin, he missed it. So we have a line out here for Burnaby Lake again.
Burnaby Lake seems to throw a lot of those passes right now to runners that aren't at full speed. They're halfway to their run or starting a little bit flat-footed, and that's slowing down their attack. But that last sequence there we saw at full speed, that was better.
Good line out off the top. Play coming down through Brian Tyrer. Very impressive coming forward. Tackling there. Into the hands of Goody. They only got two players here. McQueen needs to run straight. Nate Reese with a good crushing tackle coming across the field. Burnaby Lake able to maintain possession, but UBC there to contest. Roxon to Reekie. UBC coming up quick. Reekie able to dance through. Into the hands of McFeely, who's been brought down by his ankles. Play continues in the open sense. Reekie, only three UBC players out there. Delasau to McAllister, has been brought down, fallen on his back. They're going to continue down the play. Only two Burnaby players to three UBC defenders, who's been soundly returned on defense. UBC, again, very strong in the individual tackles. Reekie. Again, everyone's being tackled around the ankles here. Kelly. Roxon. They got four attackers. Organized defense, so able to release it to Goody. Into McQueen. Just forward, unfortunately, but they're running out of space there along the touchline. UBC doing a great job of defending, but Burnaby Lake really taking the initiative to play. So we're seeing some real positive rugby as that wraps up our first half, with the score being UBC 14, Burnaby Lake 5. A word from our sponsors, and we'll be back for second half action today.
Yes, before we cut to the break, we would like to thank Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira, Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. Halftime score, UBC 14, Burnaby Lake 5. We'll be back for the second half in just a couple minutes.
At Canadian Direct Insurance, we've all had a first car, and a second car, and then something that more closely resembles a bus. We've carpooled, car tripped, and carpool tripped. We've even had car mishaps. That's why we give you the kind of service we'd expect for ourselves. Canadian Direct Insurance.
Silly Willy Billy is a million miles away. When I had a little mind that I needed him to say, but I don't now, cause I'm mom and dad, I'm a grown-up boy. Saving all my money, gonna buy myself a new toy. Took a jet to the bottom of the visionary mind, where I'm making up the words to a song that doesn't rhyme. If you can't see me, then you better leave a note. Wait, scratch that, cause I'm never gonna be at home. Home, such a funny little thought. Everybody thinks now that I ought to rock. Not true, if you know what's best for you. Shut my eyes down now, can I get a deep blue? Sipping 7 up like a full grown man. Even got a beard now, got it looking so grand. On account of to the land in the middle of my palm, and I can't admit I don't belong. Gotta jump now, it's almost 75 degrees. If you're looking at the wind, I bet you feel the breeze. Got enough sun now to make the skin wanna dive. Outside one time, let's fly, high rise. Got an itty bitty care on the itty bitty earth. If you don't know what to wear, then you don't know what it's worth. If you don't know what it's worth, then you don't know what you're missing. Everybody in the right mind gonna wishing. Oh. Okay, here we go. Ha!
Don't waste your time away in life. It's worth the wait. Never too late.
For every passion, there is an ultimate destination. A place revered by countless tales. For salmon fishing, that destination is Langara Island. Immerse yourself in natural splendor and enjoy the greatest fishing experience of your life at Langara Fishing Lodge.
At Canadian Direct Insurance, we've all had a first car, and a second car, and then something that more closely resembles a bus. We've carpooled, car tripped, and carpool tripped. We've even had car mishaps. That's why we give you the kind of service we'd expect for ourselves. Canadian Direct Insurance.
We're back for second half action beginning in just a moment. I'm Brendan Monroe from BC Rugby, joined by Mike James here in the broadcast booth at UBC Thunderbird Stadium, where the home team UBC Thunderbirds lead by a score of 14-5 going into the second half.
We're just so happy to be webcasting these games. Willie Leacock in Belfast, thank you for watching the game, and we miss you. Score is 14-5 at the half here in this semifinal. News, it looks like at halftime on the island today, Capilano is being led 20-5 by UVic. UVic obviously playing at home. University of Victoria and UBC being the two top teams of the competition this year.
Also on the island, they're playing for the Cowichan Cup in Division 1, and latest score is 20 for Port Alberni Black Sheep and 13 for Velox Valhallians, and that is at halftime as well.
Yep, UBC Thunderbirds returning to the field. We may see some changes here, and bear with us as we work our way through the rosters. I believe one of the UBC players got carted off with a broken nose here, Connor Whale, just before half, so he's been replaced permanently by Sam Jeffries. He's been a very strong contributor to the Thunderbird campaign this year. Just to bring some notes on the first half has gone very well. Both teams are here to play rugby. Normally in the playoffs, teams they get so petrified with fear that they're scared to play some rugby, and here we got both teams playing it all for keeps here. Burnaby Lake haven't even qualified for the playoffs by the skin of their teeth and being able to pull out some really strong second half performances. So we're excited to see what can happen here in the second half today. Joe Delasalle getting ready to drop the ball out here as we start afresh in the second half of this CDI Premier League semi-final game of the week. UBC on the turf against Burnaby Lake Rugby. The dropout end over end into the hands of Nate Reese, who's been such a strong performer for UBC this year. He's been able to pound it down the field. Great angled kick. The touchdown, Sherry Trumbull is just getting a good jog off, marking the yardage on that one. Bringing that ball down to about the 30-meter line inside the Burnaby Lake end. Great kick from that 22 or from the dropout to start the game, the second half here.
And we've seen how important those territorial kicks are. UBC able to set up their first try on the game on a similar kind of kick in the game's opening 20 minutes.
So it's over best there to Tyre. Into the hands of Nate Reese, who's been tackled by Ryan McAllister. Continuing the flow, Tyre on the angle run, trying to get his ball out to a second. Geez, a real awkward collision. Two angled runners meeting there at the intersection. Ball's been spilled forward, but we're going to come back to the original fraction there. I think we missed that line out, checking out the play. We're going to have a scrum here for UBC. Our apologies there. Just waiting for play to get organized. Been some pretty good parity here in the scrums from both sides. We'll see if that continues here in the second half. Burnaby Lake potentially having a heavier, maybe more weathered pack. UBC on the intro. There's been some pushing before they entered the ball. Penalty here against Burnaby Lake.
Kickable, should they choose to go for the post.
Anthony Luke unfortunately being penalized there for bringing that down. And they've made the single. I think the signal. It's going to be Brock Stoller here, trying to put another additional 3 points on the board for UBC.
We saw Brock Stoller line one up from about 30 meters straight away in that first half and was off target just a little bit. So this is a more challenging kick now that he's got himself a little bit more warmed up. He does have those two conversions. So hopefully for UBC, he'll have the radar on this time around.
Really positions the ball like a rugby league kick, torpedo kick on the tee. Not that I know anything about kicking. Good line drive punt
Stoller seems to
and
know
it's
what,
through the post.
about kicking.
That was a great strike. So that brings the score up to 17 points for UBC. 17-5 in this semifinal action game. Joe Delasal with the dropout to follow. A little shorter this time, but equally well placed. UBC there at the reception. Brian Murphy able to scramble it through and win possession. The winger taking the ball in front of the second row. Into the hands of McAllister on the charge, who's able to get through two defenders. UBC, he's kept his feet. He's been stumbling over a body. Roxon releasing, trying to get it to Ackerman. It's gone to ground. It's anybody's ball. Jackie Goody there. The stand-in double for Wesley Snipes. UBC over the top of that. It's a penalty. Defenders trying to steal the ball back, but unfortunately not on their feet. Referee there perfectly placed to make that call. Penalty given here to Burnaby Lake, and they're opting to go for posts. It's about 40 meters out. I think the breeze is blowing in the right direction for once.
You mentioned stand-in doubles. We'd like to once again say thank you to Glenn Ennis for helping us at the start of our 125th season for coming up with that special video that we use at the start and end of our broadcasts. Glenn, known to be stunt double in the Hollywood film business, most notably for Steven Seagal at one time. And once again, thanks to Pacemaker Productions for helping us with that video clip. And thanks to everyone else who helps make these broadcasts what they are.
Riki with the kick, left foot, and it's through. Good strike, good range, good accuracy. The kickers have come to play finally after the first half misses we saw. That brings the score up to, quickly insert the math, UBC 17, BLRC 8. It's a 9-point game with lots of time to play here in second half action for the semifinal of the CDI Premier League. Beautiful sunny day here in Vancouver, God's country. Playing on the turf, Brian Tyre ready to restart the game. Long kick into the hands of McFeely. He's going to look for it, putting in his mouth guard before he runs into contact. Been tackled by the Thunderbirds. Roxon to Riki again. Trying to play just in front of the defensive line with Joe Delasau. Is able to dance his way through and across the gain line. Ball's gone through the hands into Riki. Drummond there to pick it up. UBC present on defense, not needing to commit there. Geez, what a chase from the mark there. Jordan Sandover best trying to track down Riki. He's able to evade him, but he does find two UBC forwards who finish the job. UBC being very committed to the individual tackle today. Roxon with his first box kick of the day. Good high kick, but very little chase there. UBC's off to the races. Trier into the midfield. Bounces off Delasau. Wilms releases into Thompson, who's been dangerous today. Releases that to Paul On, who releases further.
Eric Hunter-Jones,
but looks like it's been called a forward pass. Great passage of play. Paul On there again, just showing his athleticism for a loose head prop. Linking there with the backs. It's the second time in this game we've seen such a fantastic display of rugby skills. Unfortunately, the play didn't make the highlight reel because it was called back. But
Eric
great passage of play.
Hunter-James pleading with his arms in the air, saying, what was wrong with that? It looked like one of those cricket appeals when the guys are bowled out in the middle, and no luck for Eric Hunter-James as his protests will be denied, and that would have been a try on for UBC.
Yeah.
We'll bring this one back to about 15 meters out, where
Brian Tyre has just been dangerous for UBC. Every time he's touched the ball, he's been able to just get through a half gap or release somebody. That time putting the ball into Thompson, who's been dangerous. Reese and Thompson have been very dangerous in the centers for UBC. But Tyre has just been a spark plug for him. Everyone's being able to play off him well here. We're going to have a scrum here for Burnaby Lake. The ball, unfortunately, not having gone forward to Eric Hunter-Jones from the release of ball on there. It's been a bit contentious here, the scrum time, pushing before the ball comes in. Burnaby Lake has been able to win that ball into the hands of Drummond. He's taken off left. Tackled, who's able to release in contact to Goody. Sandover Best really strong in anticipation there. And I think the referee's caught him. He may be quick and he may be slight, but he's not invisible. I think he was ahead of the ball there. So offside call from that breakdown. It's going to be a penalty here for Burnaby Lake.
Well spotted by you, Mike, and well spotted by our referee, Harry Jones, with the call there.
Yeah, the couch potato
Or
ref.
Harry Mason, I should say. My
Harry
apologies.
Mason's done a fantastic game here so far. Big long kick. A lot of wasted yards here to bounce it off the stadium here, but relieving a bit of pressure. Still well within their own end, Burnaby Lake. They're going to have to win this ball back against this really competitive UBC lineout. Good crowd here today enjoying the sun while we watch a game from the shade. Lackner with the throw in on a short man line out here for Burnaby Lake. In the hands of McLaughlin to the back. It's been overthrown. This is just a freebie here. Sandover Best looking to get it to somebody in the hands of Thompson. Into Reese. Oof, Reese and Delasau have just been going at it today. That was just a very strong contact point. Penalty here, though, unfortunately, the tackler and people getting over the top of that. That was just a bit of karma. Reese has been really trying to isolate Delasau, and that time Delasau was really trying to isolate Reese. We're going to have a penalty here for UBC. Brock Stoller there looking like he wants another shot, another crack at the post.
Delasau, former BC Rugby Union Player of the Year. Nate Reese making his appeal to be considered for that award, which will be presented on May 9th. We'll have all the details of our BC Rugby Club Finals after party coming up, so check bcrugby.com for all those details for the award ceremonies and presentations that are happening after club finals.
Two very good rugby players, the outside centers today, Nate Reese and Joe Delasau.
Oh, it's a great battle out there in the centers for sure.
Just waiting for the attempted kick here. Again with the torpedo kick, the punt, and it's through. He's certainly got his game foot on now. Burnaby Lake Rugby Club, be warned, you make a penalty, Brock Stoller is going to punish you for 3 points. That brings the score up to 20, UBC 20 over BLRC 8. It's a 12-point game in semifinal action here at the CDI Premier League. Joe Delasau with a dropout. Burnaby Lake's going to chase this down. Sam Jeffries able to catch that in the air. Contested, Burnaby Lake there. Sandover Best with a box kick. Good high kick. Burnaby Lake is going to be there at the reception. Not too much chase coming from UBC. McAllister's just going to go straight into Nate Reese and a couple other Thunderbirds. Able to get that ball back. Roxon's going to release Riki on a long pass into the hands of Goody Goody. He's going to step inside and out of that first defender. I believe it's Charlie Thorpe there. Looks like Burnaby Lake's going to get pushed into touch here if they're not careful. Andy Drummond's got his hand on the ball, and they have been pushed into touch. Good pressure defense by UBC.
Burnaby Lake got so wide so quickly that there was no one in support once they got that ball out onto the wing. And as soon as UBC stepped up in defense, there were really no options on for Burnaby Lake, and that resulted in them being pushed into touch.
Yeah. UBC's been very committed one-on-one tackles today. Very high skill level, very high commitment in making punishing tackles. Looks like Joe Delasau is getting a bit of medical attention. Harry Mason's going to stop the game and just see what's going on. Harry Mason's, I think, has called just a wonderful game today. And a shout out to all our, and to his two assistant refs, Mike Jones and Sherry Trumbull. The refereeing has been outstanding this year, I feel, in the CDI Premier League, and that's all to do with the BC Rugby Referees Society. Looks like Joe Delasau may be calling it a day for us for Burnaby Lake here. Or maybe the last receive, Joe. That's Stu Vincent coming on for Burnaby Lake. He's also one of the servers at one of our sponsors, the Library Square. And I think Stu Vincent's mother in England might be watching this game, so a shout out. We'll keep an eye out for your boy there. Sandover Best to tire. UBC on the gallop here. Stu Vincent able to tackle Nate Reese, but that ball's been spilled. It's a freebie. Brian Murphy's there, able to recover it. A little backward pass, keeping it in play. I believe that's Lackner on it. Not sure who's got the ball. Lots of bodies piling in there. Even though it's in front of us, we can't see what's going on. believe it's still on the ground. That's into the hands of Anthony Lucas. Going to try and strong arm his way through. Roxon's there to release the ball again to Riki. Into the hands of McFeely, but it's been knocked on. We have a scrum here for UBC.
While we're setting up the scrum, we would like to reach out and say a big thank you to everyone who helps support BC Rugby's streaming broadcast. We'd like to say thank you to Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira, Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures.
I think Burnaby's starting to feel a bit of pressure here. They're behind. They got to score. It's a semifinal. They're running out of time. UBC in place, ahead, organized, and very, very competent. Going to see how Burnaby Lake can react to this, and can UBC maintain the concentration they've shown to date here. Scrum for Burnaby Lake. At the back, into the hands of Drummond, who releases Roxon. Gets inside, in between Sandover Best and Tire. McLaughlin there to the link to McAllister. Is just going to fight his way all arms and knees to the gain line. Ball's been slowed down though. Roxon to Riki. UBC there quickly into the hands of Ackerman. Good pressure defense from UBC. Good athletic players coming up forward. Roxon's going to look for his forwards again. Into the hands of McAllister. He's going to barrel over 2 defenders. Gets about 4 meters across the gain line. Roxon again with the pump and go to Riki, who's kind of off to the races on an angle. UBC there to cover tackle. They're contesting at the breakdown. Who has that ball? Burnaby Lake persisting down the blind side. That's in the hands of Goody Goody. Soundly tackled by, I believe, Sam Clark there. Love it when the second row step up and make big hits. It's Cole McQueen. He's able to fend off Sandover Best. He's reacting. Bodies flying again. UBC committed to the tackle. Very, very strong defense. In the hands of Riki. Lots of cover tack. Thompson there to tackle Sue Vincent just as he caught the ball, but Vincent's able to dance over a UBC player's over the top, and that's going to get penalized. Harry Mason there, man on the spot again, make that call. It's unfortunate there. Unfortunate there for, I believe it's, I can't even see the Colcan, I believe, from UBC, just losing his feet in the tackle. Unfortunately, seeing the ball and quickly penalized. Riki with a kick to touch. Finds touch and brings play back into UBC's half for the, seems like the first time in the second half, to be honest.
Mike, you talked about Burnaby Lake feeling maybe a little bit of pressure as we're into the last 30 minutes of this game. Burnaby Lake has left it pretty late in some of the games that we've seen lately. We've been kind of following Burnaby Lake around the last couple of broadcasts, so we've seen some exciting rugby from them in the final minutes. Do they have another surprise last-minute finish in this one, too?
McLaughlin's there, down, playing well behind the ball there. Brian Murphy has done very well to keep the ball alive. Stu Vincent to McQueen, to Alex Kelly. Deep into UBC territory. That ball's gone to hand again. UBC scrambling very well on defense, and it looks like they've been pushed into touch. No, Burnaby, and that's by no fault of my own that we've been following these games. I travel for these games, Brendan. It's just you keep picking the locations. But no, we've seen Burnaby Lake just able to qualify in the last 20 minutes, last 10 minutes of every game in the last month running here. And it looks like we're going to see a change for Burnaby Lake. Michael Goff is coming on the field. It looks like Paul McFeely will call it a day.
Yeah, it couldn't be more striking. UBC almost cleared into a playoff spot by the December break, and Burnaby Lake needing the very last 10 minutes of the very last game to get into this playoff fixture. But it's a real contest right now, everything to play for.
Jeffries down to Sandover Best Attire, who passes inside to Brock Staller, who is met by Burnaby Lake. All the bodies are piling in there because it looks like it's been held up. That was quite the congregation of players there. There's no less than, I think, about 11 in that mall.
Lots of commitment into that in that mall in particular. And why not? Burnaby just trying to make something happen.
Well, Tyrer, he's dangerous. Every time he takes that ball, he's got that little shake step in front of the defender, draws the man, been able to keep the ball alive either inside or outside and put his players into good spots here. But the cover tackles were able to stop Brock Staller from making a big line break there. He's a big unit on that wing. Conference here with the AR, the assistant ref, Sherry Trumbull and Harry Mason. Not sure what's going to happen here, if there's some agitation in that mall defense.
UBC players retreating back 10 meters as a result of that conversation, so it looks like a penalty to Burnaby Lake.
It looks like it's going to be against Burnaby Lake, to be honest, the way that he's chastising the two players there.
I see that. Yeah, you're right.
Connor
Both teams.
McCann and Captain Anthony Luca receiving an earful there from referee Harry Mason today. The referee's done a fantastic job again. I know I've said it 3 times, but he's just been absolutely spot on in his decisions, and his placement has been great. So it's going to be Quinton Wilms here. I think he's going to kick the ball. Good end-over-end kick. It's been able to... Oh, he took off in touch. Craig McLaughlin was able to try and knock that ball back into play. I think he actually succeeded, but it looks like he took off already in touch. So that puts the ball in touch. It's going to be UBC line out here. About 38 meters in. 38-meter line, from the BLRC try line. And it looks like Steve Batty is coming onto the field. Will be replacing Connor McCann. Steve Batty coming on at flanker, replacing Connor McCann for Burnaby Lake. As we see some changes here in the composition of the teams in the second half. Using Sam Jeffries in the lineout, trying to, but Burnaby Lake was able to steal that, it looks like. Craig McLaughlin in the air. Very tall, athletic jumper. He's really played very well in his first year of committed Premier League rugby this year, to be honest. Burnaby Lake in possession of that. Ball's turning a bit stagnant. Roxon to Riki, spinning out of there. Using the blindside wing, is able to dance through 2 defenders. Roxon again into Riki. They're on the front foot here, Burnaby Lake. Jackie running sideways. Nate Reese coming across and cover tackles. So tenacious on defense. Ball eventually gets in the hands of Brian Murphy. If they're not careful, he's going to get pushed into touch. That Burnaby Lake coming on an angle of that attack. No straightforward running, and Nate Reese was able just to cover across and eat up so many meters of territory there. Very well defended by UBC.
You definitely want to run in your lane, otherwise you telegraph what you're doing, and we know the ball is eventually just going to the winger, and good anticipation there shown by the UBC defenders.
Yeah, been very organized with some really good individual talent, this UBC Thunderbird side. Going to the front, old school front option. I believe that's Michael Toole, whose father is one of the older members of the Vancouver Trojans and Burnaby Lake Rugby Club, who took that ball. Sandover best to Tyre. Into the hands of Eric Hunter James, who's been tackled well behind the gain line, but UBC's organized. In the hands of Tyre again. They're deep. Nate Reese with his good right foot probing that ball down the middle of the field. Is bounces in front of Cole McQueen and able to get past the wickets and rolls into touch. Good strategic kick from UBC, and the execution really played off in their favor as they were able to move just outside their own 22 to inside the 22 of Burnaby Lake with a line out here for Burnaby Lake. It's an excellent kick from Nate Reese again.
We have about 20 minutes left in this match.
Burnaby Lake lineout. In the hands of Craig McLaughlin, through his hands into Sam Jeffrey. Referee's got his arms up too, so it's UBC advantage here. Tyre into the hands of Thorpe. He's tackled. Ball's spun out the side, but the referee's there. It's initial knock on in the lineout through the hands of Craig McLaughlin there, so it's going to be a UBC ball. Going to have a scrum here for UBC at the 22-meter lineup. Burnaby Lake. This is prime scoring opportunity and prime possession for UBC Thunderbirds in this semifinal action of the CDI Premier League.
On the other semifinal, we have Capilano continuing to trail the UVic Vikes 20-10 at the latest report.
If somebody wants to hit us up on Twitter and let us know, we'd love to know. UBC scrum here. Sandover Best is going to introduce the ball. Bit of a second shove, it disabled there. Able to maintain possession. Tyre into the dangerous hands of Stoller, is able to release Hunter Jones. This time, that ball has not gone forward. Very close to the touchline there, but Trumbull's there to make sure play continues. Tyre again. Sugarfoot in his way in front of the defenders. Been brought to ground. Sandover Best. Thorpe, I believe. Got options to come back either way. They got players out wide. Burnaby Lake's been able to steal that ball into the hands of Roxon. Aerially been able to bring down. That ball is there. They're trying to counter ruck UBC. Unfortunately, there's a looks like a penalty there. UBC player losing his feet at that breakdown. It's a penalty for Burnaby Lake.
Burnaby Lake a little bit fortunate to earn that penalty. I mean, hard work in there from both teams, but Roxon was so far ahead of the play. He was really isolated. We saw him presenting that ball back, and there was really just no one to pick it up at the back of that breakdown.
That's a
but
better.
Burnaby
Sorry. It's a
able
better.
to go ahead,
I was
Mike.
going to say a better angled kick from Riki, who's able to get the ball into UBC territory. The 40-meter line here. It's going to be a line out for Burnaby Lake. Been some very good rugby play today. Again, it's not often in the playoff games you see both teams willing to play so much rugby. Burnaby Lake just throwing it there to the front to the veteran Michael Goff. His leadership is on the field now. Trying to establish a maul. UBC's there. That ball's not presented cleanly from Drummond. Thorpe is able to reach across two ball carriers to actually make the tackle with one arm there. Good grip strength. I think Burnaby Lake still has possession. UBC trying to counter ruck. Burnaby Lake has possession, but not very clean. Trying to get across the gain line with Goody. The Fijian bulldozer, but he's brought down. He's brought down on his back, so we're not sure where that ball is. Looks like UBC's contested over, but it's been knocked forward at the ball presentation. Point of presentation there from Burnaby Lake. So we're going to have a scrum here for UBC at about their own 45-meter line.
20 minutes plus or minus a couple remain in this semi-final match between Burnaby Lake and UBC. The winner moving on to the BC Rugby Provincial Club Final, the Roundsfell Cup, that takes place at Klahani Park on May 9th. And you can join us there. Kickoff is at 2:45 for the premier match, but we also have the Library Square Cup going before that at 1 p.m. and the Premier Women's Championship happening at 11:30. So a full day of rugby at Klahani Park. We'll also have games at Brockton Oval. It'll be a festival atmosphere rugby on May 9th, Club Finals Day.
So book a sitter, negotiate with a wife and girlfriend. There's a full day of rugby on May 9th. UBC scrum here again. Having to reset the scrum. There's a bit of niggle going on here. Not the cleanest of platforms for both teams today. Sandover Best has been given the green light to introduce, but there's been a shove again, an angled shove. It looks like before the ball came in. Bodies flying all over the place. Some people tripping over their own bodies here, but it's a penalty awarded to UBC. I think Burnaby Lake's trying to get a really aggressive second shove on that intro of the ball, but they're not doing it in a satisfactory way for the referee here. So Quinton Wilms again with a big touch finder. It's up. He's found touch. Say about 25 meters out. Away from the Burnaby Lake try line.
Burnaby's attempting to be really aggressive, but they're giving away penalties, and they have a very small margin to work with right now. They need everything to go right. They're inside the final 20 minutes of the semifinal game.
In the hands of Jeffries again, I believe UBC with the short man option. That's Thorpe, dangerous with the ball in hand, is able to get half through a tackle on the gain line. I think that's Thompson again who's able to dance through. He's been very dangerous every time he has the ball. Who is that? I think that's Michael O'Toole, perhaps. It's carrying the ball there for the Thunderbirds. Sandover Best to Thompson. Spins it to Thorpe. Under pressure. It's been intercepted by Burnaby Lake. Both teams being very aggressive in their organization. Good cover defense coming from UBC here. Burnaby Lake trying to straighten it up. That's Andy Drummond. Roxon to Riki. They've got about 5 defenders out there, out wide. Just trying to get straight across the gain line. There's a Thunderbird there obstructing the scrum half as he's trying to get the ball. But the referee's calling the ball carrier not releasing. So a penalty here awarded to the Thunderbirds. Straight in front of the posts. About 37 meters out. Well within Brock Stoller's range, I believe. Maybe about 35, to be honest.
Stoller was a little bit inaccurate in the first half, but he's been perfect in the second, and he's really been the difference. We've seen 2 tries scored for UBC, 1 try scored for Burnaby Lake, and the kicking has been the difference maker in that 20-8 scoreline.
For sure. This is a good opportunity for UBC to get the scoreboard ticking for them. Always want to be advancing the score, pushing the needle in these playoff games, and they haven't seen a lot of scoring action here in the second half. This is going to be a prime opportunity for UBC. UBC's really been the class of the competition this year. Good young athletic group, with changing staff and program at UBC, and they're really confirming the dominance that they started the season with and have just been really consistent throughout the whole year.
Certainly one of the more storied clubs in the province, and it's good to see them back competing at this level after a few years of being down in their standings a little bit. And they're looking for the berth into that Rounds Cup final in a couple weeks' time. They have another 15 minutes to go to get there.
Good strike on the torpedo kick from Brock Stoller, and it's through the post. An additional 3 points for UBC against Burnaby Lake here. That brings the score to 23-8. Just got a tweet from Dallas Marsh, who's watching watching and listening to the game in the UK. So happy that we can connect our BC Rugby fans here on our webcasting. And thank you again to all the sponsors and partners that allow us to do it. Hang on, a bit of a fault here on the restart. I think we're going to have a change. Cole McQueen is coming off the field for Burnaby Lake, and Lincoln Bowman is going on at fullback, I believe. Burnaby Lake starting to use their bench. They're playing for keeps here. James Reekie with a restart. Nice, high, towering kick. Jeffrey's there at the receptions. Bounced off his back, but UBC's been able to keep it. Ball's been brought to deck. Not the cleanest of balls, but Sandover Best is able there to extract it. He's been tackled. Oh, put to boot by Nate Reese. Ball's in play, but he was tackled after he kicked it, so the referee's going to call that infraction. Penalty against Steve Batty for being a little too ambitious there in the tackle. Penalty's going to be given where that ball landed. Going to have a chat with the captain there, I think, for discipline. Playoff games are won on discipline. If you know every time you're going to make a penalty, Brock Stoller is going to kick 3 points, you'd want to take less penalties. Good heads-up play by Nate Reese, though. Saw a huge gap there, wanted to put the ball in play there, but was tackled after he kicked it. For penalty here for UBC. Be a line out here for UBC. In and around the 22-meter of Burnaby Lake. This is prime possession and perhaps another opportunity to score for the Thunderbirds. Burnaby Lake needs this ball back, or they don't. They need UBC to have scoring chance, like they need a hole in the head. UBC's got a very athletic line out. I think that's Mike O'Toole with the take. If I have the numbers correct in the program. Pin tackle. The ball's been put in play on the ground. It looks like Burnaby Lake's been able to force the turnover. Rocks into Reekie. What can happen here? In the hands of Stu Vince inside. Steps inside the first defender. He's cover tackled by James Thompson again. Rocks in again to Reekie. UBC very present on defense. Michael Goff soundly met by the hooker and loosehead prop as he caught the ball. Has been brought to deck in the hands of Reekie again. Bit of a staggered line from UBC as they're trying to dance their way through. Reekie's there. Well across the gain line on the front foot. Burnaby Lake here. They just got to make something of it. Lackner tackled around the ankles. Good tackle from Eric Hunter James. Good technical tackle. Goff trying to release that ball quickly to Steve Batty. He's been brought to deck. One leg up in the air. Rocks into Reekie again. Lots of defenders there for UBC. Lincoln Bowman tackled the same time he got the ball. He's caught about 8 meters, 10 meters now behind the gain line. Burnaby Lake scrambling to keep possession. UBC in the front foot. Looks like there's a UBC player down, going to receive medical attention. That's Andy Drummond carrying the ball across the defensive line. UBC there counter-rucking, very aggressive at the breakdown. I would say the more disciplined side today has been UBC. In the hands of Steve Batty, trying to sugarfoot his way through the defenders. Rocks in again. Pump fake pass to Reekie. UBC's coming up quickly in the line. That's Bowman with a wing outside to serve. He's going to step inside that defender. He's tackled from behind. Murphy there to clean the ball. Roxon's going to play in front to Ryan Ackerman, who's met by the defenders, brought to deck. Roxon again to Goff. He's going to offload to McLaughlin. Under pressure, Stu Vincent through the legs to Andy Drummond, who's then tackled by Mascot, I believe, out there. We got forwards playing like backs and backs playing like forwards. Good dump tackle again by Mascot. Burnaby Lake lost possession in that quagmire possession there. UBC has the ball. They have a man down on the field. Looks like a penalty's been given at the breakdown. Everyone's getting frustrated on the Burnaby Lake side, and they're giving up penalties here like they're giving out candy at Halloween.
One thing we noticed on that last phase was just how quickly UBC were in on the defensive pressure side, forcing one of the Burnaby Lake wingers or centers to go through his legs at a desperation pass. It had a lot of flair to it, and I would say it worked, but it didn't necessarily produce the offensive attack that you would want it to.
It's an indication of UBC. They've got great line speed on defense, just been coming up and taking away time and space, putting Burnaby Lake under an enormous amount of pressure. And they've been doing that across the board, 1 through 15 today, and I think they've been doing it all season, and that's why they've been the top team in the competition this year.
We'd like to take a moment to thank all of our partners here at BC Rugby. We would like to say a big thank you to Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avis & Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. We'll also take this break in the action to see if we have an out-of-town score to report from the islands.
I believe that's Sam Jeffries. That looks like he's just got his bell rung there.
We have a Cowichan Cup score update for you with under 10 minutes to go. It is 27 for the Port Alberni Black Sheep and 25 for Velox Valhallians Rugby Football Club. That's a close one, and it should be a good contest coming out of the Island Division 1 as they'll cross over and play the Okanagan Spring Brewery League Division 1 champions, also being held on May 9th.
So we're going to have a scrum here for UBC after, I believe it's Jeffries leaving the field today. It's been replaced. Oh, actually, it's not. Yeah, that is Jeffries. My apologies. Burnaby Lake able to put a second shove here at the scrum. Are they able to get possession? Yes, they are. Roxon to Riki, who's going to be able to sugarfoot his way through that first defender. He's still coming through. He's made about 12 meters there over the gain line, over and above. UBC are there like little sticky bombs on the ball, though. Roxon to Luca, who's able to get to the gain line. To McAllister, who's been a bull today, just soundly tackled by Nate Reese, who sealed the ball in the tackle, unfortunately, so he's been giving away a penalty. Roxon's going to play quick against a team that's not back 10. UBC there tackle, they're managing. Just sitting there idly, the ball at the back of that breakdown. Drummond takes it forward. Roxon again, he's trying to find Riki. UBC's organized, so they got to play smart here. That's Alex Kelly. He's been able to dance past one defender into the second defender. The troops are in to clean the ball out. Riki's quite deep against the line, but he's able to beat the first defender. He's kept his feet. He's been eventually brought down against a very organized UBC line that's there across the width of the field. Luca trying to strong arm his way, but he's been brought down. Rolls back to present the ball. Roxon again, trying to pierce his way around the fringes. Numbers are there for Burnaby Lake. They're being turned back by UBC at the tackle. Ball's been spilled forward there into the hands of UBC. Quentin Whelms, unfortunately, knocks that ball forward. Could have been an opportunity there to turn that turnover and be dangerous against Burnaby Lake.
Good job to UBC for stealing that ball in the breakdown, but just a quick pass into the legs of Wilms, knocked forward, and this will be a scrum at the 22-meter line with under 10 minutes to go. I would say, given the couple of injuries that we've seen, probably 9 minutes left in this game, plus or minus 1 or 2.
I think it's a fair dinkum call. Burnaby Lake's going to be very hard-pressed to make up this 15-point difference right now. UBC is just going to want to stay on top of things like they're doing. Again, they've been able to kick that ball back in the scrum there, a couple of hack and hookers, but it has come back to UBC side, to the UBC possession. But it looks like somebody's been penalized for detaching off the back of that scrum. UBC's iced the puck well up the grass field there. But it's going to be a penalty here for Burnaby Lake, well within kicking range. It's actually the last two scrums. Burnaby Lake has been able to win the ball back, but I think it's from flailing kicks of the ball in the tunnel. A touch finder there from Riki's going to move the ball to about 7 meters out. maybe 8 meters. The referee keeps walking back there. 10 meters out from the UBC try line. Burnaby Lake's going to try and win the ball in the line out and make something happen. But they're playing against a very, very competent, organized, well-drilled UBC team today, who's had the passage of play working in their favor. James Thompson looks like he's down with a bit of a sore clavicle or shoulder. So we're going to have a little stop and play here, which will extend our game time today. The score being 23 for UBC, Burnaby Lake 8 in this CDI, Canadian Direct Insurance semifinal. UVic and Capellanos are battling it out on the island today. We're desperate to hear some scores, so somebody in the viewing audience could tweet us. That would be great. You can find me at MJ Mortgages.
Or at BC Rugby Union.
Or at BC Rugby Union. That would make sense. Going to have some misdirection in that line out there. Burnaby Lake's able to win it in the middle, but it's been signaled not straight. Lost opportunity there for Burnaby Lake.
We do have one more update in that Division I Cowichan Cup game. 30-25 for Port Alberni with under 5 minutes to go.
Lost opportunity there for Burnaby Lake. Not straight in the line out. Having not a ton of chances to play with the ball in the UBC end here. It's going to be a line out for UBC. Sprint up to the front. Good safe take. I believe that's Michael Toole, who's been torpedoed in the air. So they've given away another penalty here, Burnaby Lake. They're the doers of their own demise here today. Penalty for UBC, 15 meters in. It looks like Quinton Williams is going to ice the puck here and send it rip-roaring down the field, move the play away from their try line and into Burnaby Lake end.
You have to think with about 5 minutes left to play in this game, Burnaby needed to take some points from that particular passage. Unable to do so, and they will start with about 35 meters to cover, separating them from the try line. They'll need to get one quickly, then they'll need to get some more on the board as well.
UBC with the throw into the hands of Sam Clark. Tyre could have looked forward, but Charlie Thorpe was there to get across the gain line. He's off to the races, been in heavy traffic, mind you, but they're about 15, 20 meters behind the gain line. Sandover Best trying to do a little kick over the top, but it's been blocked, but he's able to retain possession. UBC still has the ball. Burnaby Lake trying to throw everything in the kitchen sink to get the ball back, but their discipline has let them down here in the later stages of the second half. Sandover Best to Tyre. Good crossfield kick, high up in the air. Lincoln Bowman has to chase this down. It bounces up in the air. Nate Reese is there in a 50-50 ball. Stu Vincent ultimately is the guy who has the ball. Bowman's been able to make a little cheeky break down the touchline on the short side there. Ball is frolicking the touchline. Brian Tyrer is there. He's brought it back in the 22 if he's looking to have a go, but there's no cover defense. He's able to run pretty much 30 meters unscathed and put that ball further up the field. Unfortunately, it hit the touchline direct, so it went direct into touch. We're going to have a Burnaby Lake line out here just about the 40-meter mark in UBC territory.
Well, that looked like Sevens Rugby there, and if you're a fan of Sevens Rugby, we have the BC High School Sevens Championships happening today at St. George's, but we'll have coverage all day of the finals tomorrow starting at 9 a.m.
Burnaby Lake line out, played quickly in a 5-man option in the middle to McLaughlin. He's able to tap it down, but the problem with the turf field is that ball bounces like a basketball. Came right back up in the air. There's Ackerman trying to persist north-south here. They got bodies flying all over the place to try and keep it. Burnaby Lake in the hands of Reiki. Against an organized UBC defensive line. That's McAllister who's kept the ball, but he's been tackled right away. There's been a bit of unfair play in that breakdown, and it looks like UBC thought they had it, but Burnaby Lake has taken the penalty and tried to play quick, but it's been called down. We've got an injured player on the play.
So we'll see time stop while the injured player receives some treatment, and that probably brings us to about the 80-minute mark with injury time to be added. So I would expect that we'll get a final whistle in the next 3 or 4 minutes. UBC holding on to the 15-point margin they've built up over the course of the second half, and Burnaby Lake just doing whatever they can, but they haven't been able to really build effectively in the second half here. Good defense from UBC, a couple of mistakes from Burnaby Lake. But overall, we've seen a very positive game of rugby from both clubs, a very competitive game. And that's what you would expect here in the semifinals as we get down to the last team standing here in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League.
Yeah, Burnaby Lake's just trying to scramble a second half rally here, but been frustrated by their own indiscipline. Semifinals are a little different than the regular league games where they've been able to be the cardiac kids here. It's still going to be a penalty to Burnaby Lake after the Burnaby Lake player here receives some medical attention. Only Harry Mason knows how many more minutes are left, though, but we have a feeling we don't have that much time. There's not much time left.
Well,
That's
there's
McAllister just looks like he's got some cramps and fatigue here from the game.
There's no time left on the clock at Port Alberni versus Velox, and we have an even score of 30-30. So
Wow.
we go to the tie-breaking rules, overtime to come.
Looks like that kick from Riki went over the dead ball, the corner flag there on the try line. So that's gone directly into touch here. So it's going to be a 22-meter dropout, I believe. What are they calling here? 22-meter dropout for UBC. Another lost opportunity for Burnaby Lake there to actually have some quality possession. That kick going just too far over the dead ball flag. Over the corner flag, Brian Tyre with a dropout in the hands of Steve Batty, who is dangerous. He's passing it down the middle field. That's James Riki trying to stiff arm his way through the first defender at UBC. He's been brought to deck. Roxon, they're going to come down the blind side here. They got lots of numbers, and so does UBC. There's Drummond. Going to come back tight to Steve Batty. He can try and sugarfoot his way through the defenders, but UBC present and cognizant on defense. Riki, the goody-goody, to Kelly, to Lincoln Bowman, who tries to make a pass to Stu Vincent, who's trying to maybe take an inside line, and that's just a one-hand knock-on again, so it's going to be a UBC scrum. The wind's starting to come out of the sails here at Burnaby Lake. They don't seem so energetic here as time goes by.
Well, they certainly used up a lot of energy in the last three contests, coming back late, really leaving it late in each of those games, edging their way into this semifinals competition. But it might be that their path to get to this game maybe banged up some bodies and burned up some legs just a little bit, as they didn't quite have the same energy at times as UBC in this one, and UBC look like they will be moving on to the Roundsfell Cup final on May 9th at Klahani Park.
Good take at the back by UBC. Their lineup's been very effective. Sam Clark, Goody-Goody's been able to track down Brock Stoller behind the green line. There's been a bit of a counter ruck there. UBC still able to maintain possession. It's Thomas Roche, I believe, on the pick and go. Sandover Best to Nate Reese, who just puts it off the edge of his foot behind the defensive line. There's Anthony Luca, the loose head prop, trying to chase it down. Brock Stoller there trying to stand over the ball, but Burnaby Lake's been able to maintain possession. But they're so far away from the try line. Ryan Ackerman picks up that ball. He's driven back by Eric Hunter-James. And Sam Clark, for that matter. Roxon to Riki. UBC coming up so quick on defense. That's Courtney coming up like an outside flanker, a tight head prop, shutting down the outside lanes. Forwards are trying to come across the open side to UBC, but they're just organized there. Ackerman again with a pickup, trying to be productive, but UBC there present on defense. Stu Vincent, who is dangerous, able to snake his way through the defensive line, was cross-cover tackled by Jordan Sandover Best. Ball went to ground, picked up by Steve Batty, but it was knocked forward or lost forward in that process.
Final whistle.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is the final whistle. UBC Thunderbirds are champions of this semifinal over Burnaby Lake Rugby Club. The score, UBC 23, Burnaby Lake 8. UBC Thunderbirds will be in the final May 9th at Klahani Park. Finalists for the Roundsfell Cup.
Well, that was a pretty good game of rugby football. We saw a very competitive first half. UBC able to build on their lead in the second half. Burnaby Lake frustrated over and over again by that UBC defense. And a very deserving cup finalist that UBC will be able to get into that final game and take their shot at the cup on May 9th. Their opponent to be determined. Before we go off air here, we're going to take a quick look at the Twitterverse to see if we have any updates on that UVic versus Capilano game. At last reports, we had UVic leading 20-10, and I have yet to see a result on that one, unfortunately.
Yep, UBC are the logical winners today. Here at UBC Thunderbird Stadium on the turf. I think that was a pretty good experiment for our viewing audience and the players on hand today. In this CDI semifinal game of the week, brought to you by the wonderful people at BC Rugby Union and the wonderful sponsors and partners that enable us to do this.
Yes, we would like to say a huge thank you to Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. Our final will be on May 9th at Klahanie Park. One of the featured teams will be the University of British Columbia Thunderbirds. Their opponents, either UVic or Capilano. Check out our bcrugby.com website for the score from that game, or Twitter.
Just this
We're in the
from
final
Steve Cook, the BC Rugby Union's
updates.
president. You want to say it, Brendan? I think you heard it more clear than I did.
I got 25-22 in the closing minutes, not over yet, and that is UVic in the lead, 25-22. We could have an all-university final in the coming weeks here.
We won't know before we go off the air, but very close game. It looks like it could be a UVic or UBC final unless the Capilanos are able to pull something out of the hat in the last 3 minutes over University of Victoria.
So as I mentioned a moment ago, go over to bcrugby.com or over to Twitter, follow BC Rugby Union. We'll have that score to report as soon as we see it. And thank you for joining us for this broadcast today. We've had a lot of fun doing it throughout the year, and I guess one more big CDI game to go.
May 9th. We'll see you May 9th. Tell your friends, tell your family to check us out online. Thank you again for watching.
Have a great afternoon, everybody.
BC Rugby has a 125-year history, a history of success and pride. There's a place for everyone, young and old, boys and girls, one spirit, one team.